Hello all, welcome to LitGuide. We'll be learning another grammar topic today. Verbs in function, better known as verbals, which include gerunds, infinitives, and participles. We'll begin by understanding what exactly a verb is. A verb is a part of speech, and it refers to words that are used to describe an action, a state of being, or an occurrence. Let us see some examples of words that are usually considered as verbs in English language. Sing, dance, run, eat, jump, walk, etc. But sometimes, words that are usually considered as verbs will act as a different part of speech. For example, let us consider this sentence. They complimented me on my singing. The word singing is usually seen as a verb, but in this particular sentence, the verb is complimented. And the word singing is acting as a noun. In such cases, when a verb acts as a different part of speech, it is called as a verbal. Thus, a verbal is a word derived from a verb form that functions as a noun or a modifier, that is an adjective or an adverb, in a sentence. Verbals are never used alone as action words in a sentence. Instead, they function as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. Depending on what form it takes or what function it carries out, verbals are of three types: gerunds, infinitives, and participles. This is why these three are referred to as verbs in function. They function as other parts of speech. Let us see more about each one of these verbals. We will first take a look at gerunds. A gerund is a form of verb or a verbal formed by adding ing to a verb. The form of gerund is verb plus ing. A gerund functions as a noun in a sentence. In other words, a gerund is a verb that becomes a noun. Let us understand this with the help of an example. Consider this sentence. Tom is painting. Here, the word painting is the main verb because it indicates an action that the subject Tom is doing. It gives an answer to the question, what is Tom doing? And the answer painting is an action, hence it becomes a verb. Now, let us modify this sentence slightly. Tom's hobby is painting. In this sentence, the word painting is not an action. It is used to name Tom's hobby. And we all know that naming words are nouns. Here, the word painting acts as a noun. It answers the question, what is Tom's hobby? Here, we are simply naming the action that Tom likes to do and not doing the action itself. So, in the sentence, Tom's hobby is painting, the word painting, even though derived from a verb, it functions as a noun. Also, it is in the ing form, and hence, it is a gerund. Let us now learn about infinitives. Infinitives can be described as a verb form that is preceded by the word to. Here, the verb would be in its base form. For example, the verb jump becomes an infinitive when the word to is added before it. So, the form of infinitive is to plus base form of the verb. Let us take a look at its function. Earlier we saw that gerunds function as nouns. Infinitives, on the other hand, can function as nouns, adjectives, or adverbs. Let us see some examples. Consider this sentence. I like to run. In this sentence, the word run is the name of an activity that the subject I likes to do. It is not the verb itself. So, the infinitive to run acts as a noun in this sentence. Let us now see an example for infinitive functioning as an adverb. Consider this sentence. She called to warn him. Here, to warn acts as an adverb that modifies the verb called. Now let us see how an infinitive acts as an adjective. Consider the sentence. My friend gave me a cake to eat. Here, the infinitive to eat tells something more about the noun cake, and hence it functions as an adjective. Alright, let us now take a look at participles. Participles can be defined as a verbal or a word derived from a verb that acts as an adjective. Traditionally, there are two types of participles in the English language: the present participle and the past participle. Present participles are formed by adding ing to regular verbs. It functions as an adjective and always indicates continuous tenses. For example, the burning log fell off the fire. Here, the word burning is the present participle form of the verb burn. In this sentence, it functions as an adjective that describes the noun log. Past participles are formed by adding ed to regular verbs and by adding en, t, d, n or ne in the case of irregular verbs. Let us demonstrate these with examples. The regular verb ask becomes its past participle form asked when ed is added to it. Same goes for other regular verbs like use, look, want, etc. They become their past participle forms used, looked, and wanted respectively by adding ed to them. In the case of irregular verbs, past participle forms are formed by adding en, t, d, n or ne to them. Examples: eat becomes eaten, deal becomes dealt, save becomes saved, see becomes seen, and go becomes gone. So, the form of participles is verb plus ing in the case of present participles and verb plus ed or en or t or d or n or ne in the case of past participle. So, to sum up, a gerund is a verbal in the form of verb plus ing. It functions as a noun. Infinitives are verbals in the form of to plus base form of the verb. They function as nouns, adjectives, or adverbs. Participles are verbals in the form of verb plus ing in the case of present participles and verb plus en or t or d or n or ne in the case of past participles. Participles in general function as adjectives. Thank you all.